Okay, welcome to our latest edition of NatChat, and today we'll be focusing the discussion around customer engagement. So we'll be talking about the latest digital and AI solutions that can be leveraged by businesses to deliver real-world benefits. And I'm joined by two very special guests today from our partner NICE. So we've got Richard, who leads digital and AI in EMEA. And we're also joined by Natalie, who's a customer experience specialist in EMEA as well. So welcome both. Lovely to have you on NatChat to join us for this conversation. And I'd like to get started, probably a question directed at you, Richard. So one thing that is kind of very true in the market at the moment is we're awash with solutions around AI. And it would be interesting to know how NICE have incorporated AI into the solutions that you provide. And one big question I have is how can customers effectively benchmark all of those different solutions to make sure that they get benefits from the solutions that they deploy? Can you answer that one for me, please?
Yeah, happy to. So thanks for having us, Jonathan, as well. And yeah, good to be here. So you're right. AI is the buzzword, and actually AI has been around for a long time. We've been doing AI for many years at NICE, but the last 12 months, if we sort of wind the clock back, since generative AI has really come into the marketplace, it's just got a lot of attention. And at NICE, the whole platform that we have, everything's underpinned by AI in some way whatsoever. And for us, when we want to go and speak to a customer, we really want to start off by understanding what their business needs are. So what are the challenges? What are they trying to do? What are the goals? What transformation plans are in place? And by doing that, that helps us to understand really what it is as a business they're trying to have as an outcome. And that gives us the ability to go in to make recommendations. And I'll talk about some of them in just a moment. But I do encourage every organization right now who's looking at AI, they should be doing POCs, POVs, so proof of concepts or proof of values. There is so much noise about AI and Gen AI out there. And what we're seeing in reality is that actually not many people are doing more than slideware, and they're talking about it, but actually putting it into production is very, very different. And they've all got a roadmap and they're all going to get there. So we are encouraging customers to put us to the test and to put other vendors to the test at the same time if they wish to do so. And that really brings out in the wash what that value can be seen. But it all boils down to the discovery at the start and understanding those business challenges. So what are you trying to do? Oh, we want to build some more bots. We want to be an AI bot first organization. Okay, right. So how are you going to go against it? Go about it. So using AI, using your data to go and build better, faster, smarter bots using your data. Or maybe it's agent assistance, so what's known as co-pilot to lots of organizations right now. So recommending the next content, the next best action for customers. Maybe it's around knowledge management and actually about driving better self-service with it being humanless or botless at the moment, but using generative AI around it. Or maybe it's something like auto-summarization of your conversation to go and drive efficiency. But for me, when we go to a customer, we want to go and benchmark where they are right now to understand their maturity, but then we'll want to understand really what they're trying to do. And then with that, we can make recommendations. And we're very forthcoming in saying, we want to do a POC, we want to do a proof of value with you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? There's just so many benefits in the contact center space around kind of customer engagement and leveraging those technologies around generative AI. And I think it's a pretty exciting place to be at the moment. So I guess moving towards you, Natalie, like every contact center that you go into, we have this kind of conversation about the sort of balance between cost reduction and customer experience, and that feels like a real challenge for customers out there. How do you see AI solutions kind of helping customers in that space?
Yeah, so God, where do we start here? Several things, I guess, and I think there's several things you need to keep in mind. And for me, firstly, I would always start with enabling your employees. The foundation for me is all around empowering your agents. giving them the tools to better serve the customers. Agents absolutely need to be able to navigate to a customer resolution quickly and easily. So for me, you have to start with those tools and enabling the agent. So think about, as Richard said, the knowledge and the knowledge-based systems, providing your agents with the right information at the right time, and make that easy and useful. And I think that's absolutely key. Also, as Rich mentioned, tools like Agent Assist and Copilot, again, that helps guide the agents through the conversation, surfacing the right information at the right time, and automatically. So we've got tools, the AI tools, that are listening to the conversation all the way through and surfacing that information as the conversation flows. It's still important, obviously, even with the Gen AI stuff, that we've still got the human elements there, validating the information that the AI is producing and surfacing for them. That allows them to make sure it's accurate before they send it on to the customer. But these are like some really powerful use cases. I think the other thing to think about with AI is that you can use it to really help train new members of staff. And it's interesting, some of the reports that we've read recently is AI is not just about surfacing information to the agents, but actually what we're finding is the information that's being surfaced is then being retained more within the employees. So when an agent asks an AI a question, for example, it tends to embed. So we're seeing a much quicker time to sort of competency. We're also seeing customers significantly reduce the cost of training. So the onboarding time, the process that they have to go to, the knowledge that they need to know, that time to proficiency is significantly reduced through these AI tools. Other tools and use cases that we're seeing to help, I guess, from the sort of cost and efficiency side of things is auto summary, and that we're seeing a huge uptake in the market at the moment, reducing that cognitive load from the advisors. It absolutely reduces the stress, allows them to purely focus on what the customer's saying, what the customer needs are, and then the AI is sitting there capturing the entire conversation and then providing a clear summary at the end of the call. So what was the intent? Why was the customer calling? What were the actions that were agreed? And then what was the actual outcome? And then alongside of that is all the important sort of sentiment as well. So all of these types of tools are significantly reducing the handle time and the wrap time. The other thing I think I want to mention is that the current attrition across the contact center at the moment, it's probably higher than it's ever been. I know industry-wide it's about 34%, but actually I've been into some organizations where it's as high as sort of 45 and 50%. So again, having these tools that help train and onboard and get proficiency at a much quicker level or a much quicker time frame is hugely valuable. And then I think it's about, once you've got the agent element nailed, then it's about focusing on the customer perspective and using AI to make life easier to engage with your customers. So things like the natural language elements that we've got, providing answers to simple questions, allowing customers to self-service and navigate to their own resolution, I think is absolutely key. So really, for me, actually, it's not so much a conflict anymore. So absolutely, there always used to be the challenge of cost reduction versus customer experience. But actually, these tools give you the power of doing both. So they drive better outcomes, which increases CSAT and NPS. But at the same time, it's reducing all of the effort and driving efficiencies. So that's really it for me, in summary.
Yeah, lots in there.
Lots
So,
lots in there.
and the kind of the way AI can be leveraged to help agents is obviously really interesting, and you know that helps agents get the job done quicker and deliver a more consistent, better service every time. But there's also the customer element of that, and leveraging AI to automate some of the customer journeys or provide 24/7 service through automated capabilities. But one thing I see as a bit of a challenge is how do we know when we deploy that automation that it's doing an effective job, that you know the customer's happy and we're delivering a good service there? Have you got a view on that?
Absolutely. Research and insights, monitoring the response rates and getting feedback. Talk to your customers. There's loads of data, right? organizations just aren't leveraging the data, I don't think, as well as they could be, and in the right way. But talk to your customers. They like to be spoken to. They like to be part of decision making. So it's really around doing your research, creating those customer forums, to getting the feedback. There's lots of voice of the customer strategies out there, and it's organizations that really immerse themselves in those strategies and take the feedback on board, that are delivering those experiences that meet the expectation. But I think for me also, the really important thing is understanding that demand. Do you know what's driving demand into your organization? What are the customer intents? Very few organizations that we talk to really understand the demand and the actual intent. So yes, there's all the disposition codes, but they're not particularly accurate because it's down to sort of agents manually putting those in. But really understanding what journeys your customers need to go on, and the easiest route to the resolution is key. But you only get that really from feedback and insight. So analytical tools, what's the sentiment, what's driving the root cause into the organization, and join things up. I think that's absolutely key. I mean, we've been talking about multi-channel and omni-channel for years, but I still don't see many organizations that really get this right, allowing you to sort of switch from one channel to another, choose your channel of choice, get signposted to the right destination based on what it is you're trying to do. So again, just really understanding the happy path, but also the unhappy path. So don't make things difficult. Don't send organization or don't send customers into a cul-de-sac. Always give them the option, join things up, provide the context, do some predictive personalized routing as well, and just understanding what it is a customer is trying to achieve, and take them to that least path of resistance to get to that resolution.
Yeah, really good.
It's insights, research and insights for me.
And there's always going to be some cases where you want to speak to a human, right? You've got something that you want the human touch with. So, Richard, how do you kind of see AI helping with those types of engagements?
So for me, I'm a big believer that automation should be the start of every conversation, whether that's a digital conversation or a voice conversation. And that bot, that that assistance can really be the concierge, which can understand the intent and make a decision about what it is on the back of that intent that it needs to do. Do we keep it in the bot, or do we hand it over to a human? And sometimes some of the brands I work with who've got large scale digital operations, they have failover to a human by design. It may be failover to a human by design because they haven't got the back end systems to go and continue that automation. And so the best experience is to hand over. Others believe that there's certain use cases where empathy is really key, that they need to be handing over to a human. So maybe it's bereavement, for example. Actually, I worked with lots of the banks in previous where we put automation into their bereavement journeys, and we saw that customers' NPS and CSAT was higher with automation that was sometimes with a human. And that's because when they're going through, that situation, they're having to deal with a bereavement situation, they don't have someone that they don't know who's saying, I'm really sorry to hear about that. All they want to do is get it resolved. They just want to go and get that estate resolved, go and get that issue resolved, whatever it may be. So I think there's a bit of a perception that it always has to go to a human for certain conversations, but I'm a big fan, going back to Natalie's point, which is doing some A/B testing, maybe speaking to your customer base and actually seeing what the results are, and the analytics behind it really can give you that data on the back of it. But I am a big believer that AI should be at the start of it. That will drive efficiencies. It will give you the tooling to make the decision of where to route it. But again, the other piece is that automation should be doing, I've always said automation does the ordinary and humans can do the extraordinary. And that's really what we want a contact center to be doing. You've got expensive staff, you've got lots of staff. If they're spending time interacting with customers, how can we make sure that the conversations that they are having are the most valuable conversations? It's the ones where it's necessary to have that conversation as well. So it might be because it's a customer experience piece, it might be because they haven't got the integration reasons, or it might be something that business is just so focused on, they want to be having that human conversation, whatever reason it is. And again, it goes into that understanding about what the automation strategy is and then breaking it down per line of business within that organization as well. But yeah, it's a really interesting point. We will see more automation come up, not necessarily a lower number of agents in the contact center. There's some brands who want to reduce the headcount, but the majority I'm speaking to is saying we want to keep the headcount, but we want to have more interactions. And that's what automation is allowing us to do, is to have the same number of people, but do a lot more. But if we're doing a lot more, then we want to make sure the human element is super valuable. And that's really what AI is providing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you kind of say that, because I think often automation is immediately associated with head reduction, isn't it? But in that example you provided, where it gives you just so much more capacity to deliver differentiated journeys to your customers, and provide an amazing experience. So it is probably worth organizations just thinking about it through that lens. What are they
It
missing
is.
out on by not using
It,
it? Yeah.
it is, and it also opens up new roles within the contact center as well. So you have your bot designers, your bot managers, your conversational designers, etc. So if you think about your traditional contact center, you had agent, team lead, manager, head of contact center. That was your career path. Now within the contact center, where lots of these automations are being managed and owned, then actually there's so many more roles, and that's actually been a big driver for many companies that I've worked with about actually want to really give more to the contact center. We want to have more career paths. We don't want that 18-month tenure where we spend 8 months trying to get them up and running. And the other point as well is it does really impact the customer experience in a positive way. If automation is doing more, then that means that the humans are doing more interactions per hour. If they're having the agent assist in that example, that's helping them to go from 5 conversations an hour to 6. But it also means that there's less of a queue within the IVR, so that if customers are queuing, let's say they were 15 minutes before, maybe automation's now meant that it's 5 minutes. So again, the customer experience is impacted across so many different parts of that journey for the better. And I'm a huge fan of that.
And just to add to that, the roles are, I guess, evolving as well, aren't they, Rich? What we're seeing is, for example, the quality management team, now that everything's kind of more AI driven, they can really focus on the data that's being presented to them. So as opposed to them taking the time of searching and finding calls and then manually evaluating, all of that sort of more mundane part of the role is being done by AI. They're then given this amazing dashboard with all this sort of, traffic light system that allows them to really focus on the areas that need improvement. So their roles are evolving and they're becoming much more strategic and analytical in what they're doing, as opposed to just spending time and effort searching and replaying calls and then manually evaluating those. So lots of the roles are just kind of evolving into much more value added roles, which is what they all want to do, right? They all want to add more value to what they're doing. So again, AI is really giving them the ability to do that.
Great. Well, I think we've got time for one more question. So it's a biggie. There's loads of exciting stuff that we've spoken about today. So the here and now is, that customer engagement is a pretty exciting place to be with all this technology that's advancing and changing the way that we do things. What's your view on how AI will change customer engagement over the course of the next decade? So I'd like you both to probably give your view on that. So maybe we'll start with Richard, if that's okay.
Sure. So I will start off with saying near term, and I'll come to the 10-year piece in just a second. Near term, we're just seeing so much hype in the market around knowledge management being the foundation of everything you should be doing across your digital journeys. Because if you get knowledge management right and you put the generative AI around it, what that gives you is the ability to have a central repository for your automation that bots can feed, for your self-server, for your customers, and also for your agent assist as well. So we've really seen that knowledge has become sort of the cool kid on the block once again. It's been around for a long time, but it's really top of people's agendas and top of people's priorities as a big part of their strategic transformations. If we look a little bit further ahead about what's to come and where AI is going, I spoke about at the start that AI underpins everything we do at NICE. Our whole platform is underpinned by AI. We've been having billions of conversations for many, many years. So we've got lots of CX interactions that we've now put into our AI models to go and help customers accelerate, but it's based on CX data, which is really a key differentiator for us. But by having a single platform, we're going to be seeing more and more AI in the hands of the business, where they can go and ask a question about who were my top agents today, what is the state of my contact center year on year compared to last year, what are my top intents which are coming in, and we're going to be able to ask questions using generative AI across your whole unified data layer within your platform, and you're going to get real-time answers which are coming out. So we've already started work on this, by the way, and by the end of this year, it's going to be available as a first phase for customers to be using against NICE. But I see this as being a huge future within the contact center, so that businesses can make decisions in hours versus it being days, weeks, and loads of analysts' times to go and do it. So it means they can actually make some business change quickly. So for me, this is super exciting. It's definitely something that we are working hard on.
Sounds great. Yeah. What about you, Natalie? How do you see things playing out?
Yeah, I certainly don't think I can predict 10 years out, right? I think things are moving at such a fast pace right now. I think even sort of 2 to 5 years is probably as far as we can go. But I guess three things for me, probably. One is the contact centers finally becoming more value-added contact centers. So really being able to utilize the expertise that are within the organization and drive those more value-added conversations, providing expertise. We've removed all of those mundane tasks. All of the sort of transactional low value stuff is now moving more into self-service. So, as we've just said, people are now doing more value added activities. So creating this more value add contact center is absolutely where I think it's going to go. The second piece, I'm going to have to, I guess, disagree with Rich, which is a bit bold and brave of me, but I do see contact centers shrinking in the next sort of 5 to 10 years. There are the ability to shift some of that demand, deflect to other channels, more self-service, is absolutely going to have an impact. And then the third one, which is quite interesting, I think, is that we're going to have more personal AI. So our customers are going to become more automated. We're going to have our own bots doing the things we don't want to do. So let my bot deal with my utilities company and my telco company. Let my bot order my next lot of shopping. So the whole kind of bot to bot piece, I think, is going to become quite interesting. So I'm going to look forward to seeing what that gives us from a sort of personal consumer perspective as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, bot to bot. That sounds really exciting. So I'll look forward to that. I think that's about as much time as we've got today, but I'd like to thank you both for coming on NatChat today and speaking with us. I think it's been a really interesting session. And if anyone out there would like to learn more about the NICE contact center solutions that we've talked about today, then please make contact with us. Check out our website at natilic.com, and we'll be pleased to hear from you. But thank you very much, and we'll wrap things up there.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Jonathan.